All right, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from StreetScores, and I'm going to try my best to keep y'all updated on everything going on with the Commanders. This is your Commanders free agency guide. It's about to start real soon. I'm recording this at 10:57 a.m. Things are about to kick off at 12 p.m., but I wanted to go ahead and let you know what to be prepared for. Some guys that are off the board, but I mainly want to focus on who we want, who are still available. We have a big-time Jeremy Chinn update. Not looking very likely that we'll bring them back. We're going to break down why. We're also potentially targeting 2 defensive linemen from the Eagles at the same time. We want to bring both of them in. Also, we're targeting offensive tackles and edge rusher in free agency. And we're still trying to trade for Trey Hendrickson. And you never know with Kupp as well. We're going to dive into all of that and more. But before we do, make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. Again, I'm gonna try my best to keep y'all updated on everything, but I feel like every time I release a video within the next 10 minutes there's gonna be another update that makes what I just said in the video look stupid. But either way, I'm gonna try my best. I really appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all stay tuned. You have that bell, click next to that subscription button so you get notified immediately when I release these videos and updates, because I'm gonna update y'all on every little thing Commanders related. I'm working on a Trey video and everything, so stay tuned for that. Without further ado, let's go and dive into this video right now, man. Let's get it. Adam. All right, first up, let's talk about Jeremy Chinn. Jordan Schultz just came out earlier this morning and said that another safety garnering significant interest, Commander safety Jeremy Chinn. After signing a 1-year prove-it deal last year, he delivered an excellent season with 117 tackles, over 17 starts, becoming a key piece of Dan Quinn's defense. Washington wants to keep him, but several teams are in the mix, so he's literally holding out. I'm pretty sure the Commanders have given him at least a decent offer so far, but it looks like Jeremy Chinn has not re-signed because Jeremy Chinn wants to test the market to see what numbers may come back, from other teams, what other teams are potentially willing to give him, if it may be more than what the Commanders are willing to give him and things like that. So that's where this whole Jeremy Chinn thing hold up is coming from. We re-signed Bobby Wagner, we re-signed Zach Ertz, we even just recently re-signed Trey. But now you have Jeremy Chinn. He was the one I immediately had my eye on next, like, okay, so when's the Jeremy Chinn one gonna happen? And it looks like it's not necessarily on the Commanders' end, even though I'm saying that with ignorance because you never know. Maybe the Commanders are lowballing them. We just discussed last night how Dante Fowler and Dyami Brown feel disrespected by the Commanders by whatever lowball offers we probably gave to those guys, and they're more than likely going to test for agency as well to see what their market looks like out there. But Jeremy Chinn is a little bit different from Dante Fowler. Dante Fowler with age, Dyami Brown not so proven, only really showed up for like 2 playoff games, and that was really about it. And even in the NFC Championship game, the way that he finished this season with that fumble wasn't the best way to end your season and to basically end your contract heading into the open market of free agency. But Jeremy Chinn still has age on his side. He had a really productive season last year. He wasn't perfect. I wouldn't even say that he played at like a Pro Bowl level necessarily, but he was really good. He was solid, and I would love to bring him back, but the safety market is hectic right now. But every time we do this with safeties, they always end up getting paid way less money than what we expect. Cameron Curl left us and they ended up signing a contract way cheaper than what I expected him to leave for. But I felt like that was because we had so much turmoil and chaos with our organization back then that maybe he just wanted out. But who knows, man? The safety market always ends up being less than what we'd expect. Like Pro Bowl safeties get paid less than what Pro Bowl corners, wide receivers, edge rushers, defensive tackles, even maybe sometimes even tight ends, but definitely like quarterbacks, most offensive linemen. Like safeties are one of the undervalued positions in football. So how much is Jeremy Chinn actually asking for from the Commanders? And then how much are other teams even willing to give him? And this is a pretty loaded safety market. Free agency typically with this increase in cap space and with it being a further increase than people expected, a lot of Commanders fans were excited. I was trying to tell y'all that the cap space being higher than what people expected is actually a bad thing generally when it comes to relative value compared to the Commanders to other teams. And this is why all of these top free agents that we were targeting have ended up staying with their original teams. Ronnie Stanley at left tackle, Khalil Mack at edge rusher just re-signed like right when I was about to load this up and talk about them. I had to delete all of those tabs. You know what I'm saying? It just seems like a lot of the top top players aren't even hitting free agency. They're either getting tagged or re-signed because teams have so much more cap space than they even expected. And so, going back to the safety situation, you have Javon Holland, you have Cameron Bynum, Talanoa Hufanga, who I would love. We're going to talk about him soon. Justin Reed, maybe Harrison Smith, even though, I mean, he's 36 years old. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot. And I'm surprised Justin Reed is younger than what I remembered. At 28 years old, I'm a little surprised there. He's only 1 year older than Jeremy Chinn. You also have Justin Simmons, who's apparently available, who's at 31 years old. You have Trevon Moehrig from the Raiders. You know, maybe you want to target him. It's a pretty decent safety market. Even Andre Sisco from the Jaguars is a pretty decent player that is available out there. So with it being like several at least decent safety options, safety's already an undervalued position. I don't think Jeremy Chinn is going to cost that much money to bring back, but who knows? Maybe the Commanders don't necessarily prioritize him enough to go ahead and sign. Maybe if like he's still available towards like day 3 or 4 free agency, maybe they'll bring him back, but they're probably trying to prioritize like certain names and guys that they really want with the cap space that we have. And then it's like, okay, if we still have a lot more left over than we expect, then we'll go and get a Jeremy Chinn and bring him back to whatever money he may potentially want. Because like, since we're going to talk about it later in the video, but we're still reportedly very interested in trading for Trey Hendrickson. This is coming from multiple sources over the course of multiple days. Maybe they're trying to keep like, you know, 30 million to the side per year just in case, cap space wise, in case they do end up trading for him and then having to extend them at the same time. And then maybe we miss out on getting Trey Hendrickson. Maybe we don't do it. Now suddenly you have $30 more million than you expected. Now you have the money for a Jeremy Chinn and potentially to pay him more than what you originally offered him or something like that. So we'll see. You know, this is a very fluid situation. Just because we haven't signed Jeremy Chinn yet doesn't mean we won't eventually bring him back. We'll see. Let him test the market. See if the grass is greener. You know what I'm saying? Let him see it for himself. Because right now, as of right now, until 12 p.m., he technically is not even legally allowed to talk to other teams about like contract numbers. Right now, the only offer he has on his table, at least legally, are from the Commanders. Unless another team is tampering, which is again not allowed. And then he has a number offer and a guess from there. But we'll see. Maybe his agent is translating, well, you know, this guy's getting offered this by this team, and he happens to have the same agent, and then he could kind of on the slip give Jeremy Chinn those numbers, like this is what my other client is being offered by his team compared to what you're being offered by your team. And that maybe that's a way to gauge the safety market if Jeremy Chinn just so happens to have an agent that's also the agent of another free agent safety out there like a Talanoa Hufanga. But again, back to my point, I want Jeremy Chinn back. I would love to bring him back. I was probably one of the happiest people in the fan base when we signed him, because y'all know I'm a big super duper athletic freak, athleticism, high ceiling, high relative athletic score type of guy. And Jeremy Chinn always had that. I just felt like the Carolina Panthers were doing him wrong and weren't using them to the best of their ability. And then we brought him here, and it was a sort of a slow start for him, but as he started to pick it up, I thought he's truly started to turn into like a really good player for us. And I think the sky's the limit. I think he'll only get better if he does re-sign for us for another 2-3 years. So I'm excited about potentially bringing him back. But at the same time, if he's asking for way too much money, I'm perfectly fine with pivoting to Talanoa Hufanga from the 49ers. I mean, we already traded for Deebo Samuel. Let's go ahead and bring over Talanoa Hufanga and Travarius Ward while we're at it. You know what I'm saying? Let's just go ahead and be the Washington 49ers, especially on the defensive side of the ball. You know, yeah, Adam Peters is general manager. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at Dre Greenlaw with one eye like, hey, man, you know what I'm saying? If you're okay with coming in here and being a part of a rotation instead of starting, that's cool with me, man. But yeah, I like Talanoa Hufanga. Like, if we're ignoring the loyalty to Jeremy Chinn and the fact that he was here last year, if you just told me a couple of years ago that we would have the choice between Talanoa Hufanga and Jeremy Chinn, I would lean towards Talanoa Hufanga, so I would love to get him. He's an excellent consolation prize. I just prefer Jeremy Chinn because he already knows the defense. He was here last year, and then I'm also a loyal guy. So, like, when you go out there and put your body on the line, you know, I know it's a cold business, but I don't know. Certain things, I'm rooting for Jeremy Chinn to come back just off of pure loyalty. But again, if he doesn't come back, I like Talanoa Hufanga just as a individual player, excluding chemistry with the defense already, you know, that's already here, and with the teammates, locker room, all of that type of stuff. I prefer Talanoa Hufanga's just talent naturally. I feel like he could bounce back to a couple of years ago and be one of the best strong safeties in the entire NFL if we bring him here, especially with the way that Dan Quinn utilized and Joey Jr. utilized safeties and things like that. And then especially if we get this defensive line figured out, which we're going to talk about real soon. And then also speaking of Charvarius Ward, even after a down year, which was perfectly reasonable with the circumstances that he was under. I don't want to, keep bringing it up and speaking on it, but man, I know he definitely, there's already been reports from 49ers reporters that he wants to get out of California as that's the first checklist point. Like, get out of California. We'll figure the rest out after that. Money, team fit, location, as long as I'm out of Cali, I'm good type of thing. But when it comes to Charvarius Ward, yesterday's price is not today's price, because now you have J.C. Horn of the Panthers signing to become the highest paid defensive back in NFL history, now with a 4-year $100 million deal, which is $25 million per year. Wouldn't be surprised if Charvarius Ward ends up getting at least something in that similar range, if not more, because I would argue Charvarius Ward at least 2 years ago was arguably better than J.C. Horn. But then Charvarius Ward, again, for perfectly good reasons, had a pretty down year last year, so maybe you can get him for cheaper because of that. Maybe. But J.C. Horn, again, going for $25 million a year. Again, like I said, the cap space being higher than what people expect is not necessarily a good thing, because it's all based on percentages, and now players are just, because there's more cap space, the players are going to ask for more money than they originally would have if the cap space would have stayed the same, basically, in a hypothetical scenario. So it's not necessarily that good of a thing, but we'll see how we can finesse it. Maybe Adam Peters and Brandon Slauson can get in the lab. We'll see. But y'all already know, man. Hopefully bring Jeremy Chinn back. If we can't, I would love Talanoa Hufanga, and go ahead and bring that boy Charvarius Ward with you. And I'm also looking at Dre Greenlaw. Now, moving on, apparently the Commanders were reportedly, from Albert Breer, readying a run for left tackle Ronnie Stanley until he signed with the Ravens. Breer says that Washington is a team amongst Kansas City and New England now looking at other available tackles. So now we've already discussed the whole Brandon Coleman, should he be a tackle, should he be a guard thing. We can pretty much lay that to rest with the fact that the Commanders, according to several reports over the last week, 2 weeks, have been looking at offensive tackles in free agency. Specifically Ronnie Stanley. If he didn't stay with the Ravens, we were going to be one of the teams, I guess alongside Kansas City and New England, that were going to try to outbid each other to sign Ronnie Stanley. And so now there's still, apparently, even after the report says, even after Ronnie Stanley decided to stay with the Ravens, the Commanders are now looking elsewhere for tackle. So it sounds like they do want to move Brandon Coleman to at least left guard or right tackle, maybe move Andrew Wiley from right tackle to right guard until Samuel Cosme's healthy, or maybe left guard over Nick Allegretti. You know what I'm saying? We'll see. But either way, I guess they don't see Brandon Coleman as a left tackle. Left guard, maybe right tackle, but not necessarily left tackle. And then Deanna Rossini, shortly afterwards, just yesterday, said that there are teams that are expected to target and show interest in offensive lineman Morgan Moses. The Jets are making an effort to retain Morgan Moses, but with less than an hour left, it seems like he's expected to hit free agency. She named the Commanders, Chiefs, Bengals, and Patriots. Of course, the Chiefs and the Patriots in there, because we were the same teams that were targeting Ronnie Stanley. Now you can add the Bengals in there as well, as far as people that are trying to get Morgan Moses. We'll see about the whole Morgan Moses situation. This is an interesting tackle class as far as free agency goes, because Ronnie Stanley, the top target, is already gone. Cam Robinson has been disappointing compared to the talent that he had coming out of college. I mean, I guess he's there, but he's about to be 30. Tyron Smith is 34 years old, and he was pretty decent last year, but he's still 34 and injury prone. And if you sign him, it's to a 1-year prove-it deal that's very incentive-based. Alaric Jackson, another guy that was one of the top tackles available, re-signed to stay with his team because the cap space allowed the Rams to do that. That increase really hurt us, man. I'm telling you. Dan Moore Jr., I guess from Pittsburgh, maybe you could target him as a pretty underrated option there, maybe. Came off of his best season last year. We'll see at 26 years old. Then Morgan Moses, 34 years old. He's only getting older. And I remember some people didn't even want him here a couple of years ago while he was 32. So now he's 34. How do we feel about it now? This is an ugly free agency class for tackles. I mean, you have Jedrick Wills, who hasn't lived up to his talent either, especially as of late. Really, since he's been drafted, he just never lived up to the hype that he had talent-wise coming out of college. So this is a ugly tackle market. You could argue that maybe Morgan Moses and Dan Moore are probably the best you could do. Dan Moore, the younger guy with some potential. Morgan Moses, you know what you're going to get, but there's a certain limitation and ceiling with them. You know, that's about it. And maybe if you get Morgan Moses, I'm assuming you're putting him at right tackle, not left tackle. And then you're going to keep Brandon Coleman at left tackle. That's what I'd assume. Now, moving on, I'm trying to go rapid fire here. I don't want to stay on any topic too long because we still have a few more things to talk about. And free agency is headed this way very soon. But there is a report that the Commanders are expected to enter the Milton Williams sweepstakes per Jeremy Fowler. Fowler also notes that Williams and Josh Sweat would like to continue to play together, suggesting that Washington could create a Philly special on the D-line. However, it's very unlikely due to the money, but apparently we're interested in both Milton Williams and Josh Sweat. We're just not sure about bringing both of them together. And it's not because of the talent, it's not because of the players, it's because of the money that they will both individually demand, and that will be too costly to pay a defensive tackle and edge rusher combination. But also, Jordan at Washington Today brings up a good point. Fowler wouldn't have casually just dropped this nugget earlier this morning at 9 a.m., just a couple hours before free agency, if there wasn't some serious smoke towards it. Like, these guys, I think you can start to believe some of the smoke that we're seeing, some of the random tweets and reports, the ones that are coming out this morning, you could probably believe a little bit more than the ones you were hearing about weeks ago. There's a reason they're kind of throwing these names and attaching them to certain teams right now, so that maybe they later on they can get their credit. Like how I told y'all, I reported this, you know, my name is attached to this, so now y'all should follow me for any, you know, future news that you may want and any rumors and things like that. So this is the time where, you know, all of these reporters are trying to make a name for themselves. They're not just trying to clickbait you. You know, when there was less news going on, when there were less topics and things to talk about, less blockbuster moves happening and things like that, maybe back then a reporter was clickbaiting, but right now they're trying to be a little bit more accurate as we get closer. So I'm saying that to say, don't be surprised if we end up with Josh Sweat or Milton Williams right now. Now, I'm not too necessarily fond over either of the guys. I just feel like both of them are going to demand more money than I'm willing to pay either one of them. But don't be surprised if we end up getting one of them, because you got to remember, the Super Bowl, just that game alone added to Sweat's market. I mean, before the Super Bowl, he was projected to get a 3-year, $45 million contract by Spot Track. After the Super Bowl, that $45 million turned into $56.4 million, according to Spot Track, which makes him nearly a $20 million per year edge rusher on the market. But Next Gen Stats did point out the fact that Josh Sweat generated a team high 6 pressures on 34 pass rushes in the Super Bowl, including a career high 2.5 sacks. Sweat registered 4 of his 6 pressures on early downs, including every one of his sacks as well. So this guy wasn't even just doing damage on third down, it was like first and second downs as well. And even though I'm not willing to pay whatever price Josh Sweat is about to command, especially whatever that $20 million per year nearly that he's going for, Josh Sweat did lead the Eagles in sacks this past regular season, was second in quarterback hits and third in tackles for loss while playing only 60% of the snaps. Now, I would have preferred Khalil Mack, who just re-signed with the Chargers, but if we did sign Josh Sweat, this would be, I guess, my glass half full view of the situation. Like, hey, maybe if he plays more, he'll produce more and things like that. I'm not the biggest fan of Josh Sweat at all. I'm still leaning more so towards a no based on how much money I think he's going to get. But hey, man, we'll see. Then moving on to Milton Williams, I mean, Osa Odighizuwa just signed a $20 million per year contract. Spot Track is expecting him to get less than that. For some reason, I don't know why, I feel like Milton Williams is going to get more than that, and that's what scares me. I like Milton, I really do, but if Milton were to choose the Commanders over the Patriots, it would be because of a chance at another Super Bowl, because we're a far more competitive team right now than the Patriots are, and to play the Eagles potentially 2 to 3 times a year to kind of get revenge against them. I don't think it will be because of the money. Same thing with Sweat. If Sweat ends up choosing the Commanders, I would really hope it's not because we outbid other teams. So both Milton Williams, Josh Sweat, I'm leaning towards no because of the money I think they're going to get, but the talent is undeniable. I like both of them, and again, I could give you glass half full optimistic viewpoints on either of those guys if we end up signing them. If we somehow ended up with both of them, that would be even more chaotic, but we'll see. And then moving on, apparently the Commanders are expected to still make a big push to trade for Bengals Trey Hendrickson. And that was just last night at like 11:30 p.m. Like, these have been several days from multiple sources saying the same thing about the Commanders being one of the teams that are definitely interested in Trey Hendrickson. Well, just to remind you, that boy Max Crosby just re-signed with the Raiders for $35.5 million per year. I'm assuming Trey Hendrickson wants something at the very least similar to that, if not maybe even more, which really does scare me. I mean, if you could convince me that we could pay him maybe $30 million per year, I'm really excited about getting him. But if we got to beat out that $35.5 million per year and do like 36, he's not going to reach with Myles Garrett is getting like $40 million per year, but he has been better than Max Crosby the past couple of years, so I don't really see him like asking for less money than what Max Crosby's getting, since he's been the better player between the two. And then on top of that, you got to trade for him as well. This is not just a free agent. We're talking about having to give up a serious draft pick, which is why we probably haven't traded for him yet. We're probably telling the Bengals like, hey man, we can't give you too much of a draft pick, too high of a draft pick, and we got to turn around and give this money, ridiculous money. And I love Trey Hendrickson, but he's not like a great run stopper. He's decent. He's better than, I would say, Dante Fowler and Dorrance Armstrong, but he's not a great dominant run stopper. He's more so arguably the best pure pass rusher in the NFL, but our biggest weakness last year was run stopping, so we would still have that weakness, I would argue, even after you signed or traded for Trey Hendrickson. But Jordan at Washington Today brings up a good point that you could potentially trade a third for Trey Hendrickson and then get that third back after you trade down from 29 to somewhere in like the second round, and then we would have 2 second-round picks and then an additional third that we lost from trading for Trey Hendrickson. We'll see. I mean, this is one of those drafts where like the guy you get at 15 is probably the same level of guy that you can get in the 30s, but at the same time, if we're that eager to trade back, why would a team want to trade up? Unless there's like a specific player, maybe like a quarterback. Our best bet right now for the Commanders, if we're trying to trade back and get as much value as we can, is for like a guy like Jackson Dart to maybe make it to our 29th overall pick. That's our best bet right now, to be honest with you. So yeah, I'm still a fan of, kind of trading for Trey Hendrickson, but if he's talking about more than Max Crosby money and the Bengals are talking about a pick higher than a third rounder, I think I'm good. Also, just again to update y'all, Khalil Mack did re-sign with the Chargers on a 1-year, $18 million deal. And again, there were several reports. I was literally, as I was loading up this video, getting my notes together, right before I recorded, that's when he signed the deal. So I had to scratch all of that. But I was about to tell y'all that there were multiple reports and multiple reporters, including Ben Standig of the Commanders, and even some outside sources that the Commanders were going to target Khalil Mack if he hit the open market. He didn't, but my point is, and my biggest takeaway is that we are seriously considering edge rusher in free agency right now, to the point that I wouldn't be surprised if we go and get 2 guys. Like, trade for Trey Hendrickson is still signed like a younger guy, maybe even. So be on the lookout. Just some names to throw out there as far as edge rushers go. Again, we already talked about Josh Sweat. Don't forget about Hassan Reddick. I've already talked about him. Malcolm Kunsey from the Raiders. I hope that's how you pronounce his name. Baron Brown had already re-signed, but Dayo Adeyingbo from the Colts, that's an option, like a younger option. I would see like maybe a scenario where maybe you get him, maybe you get like another veteran that isn't that good, not a notable one, and then maybe you have to take edge rusher in the first round if Dayo Adeyingbo is your best edge rusher that you got in free agency. But that is an option there. And then of course you have Chase Young, but Azeez Ojulari, he's a Georgia Bulldog. I would love to get him, but he's basically a younger Dante Fowler, not a good run stopper, only a situational third down pass rusher type of guy. And I would argue Dante Fowler was better last year than Azeez Ojulari was last year. So I mean, he's younger. He's only 20. He's going to be 25 by the time the season starts. I'd be down for that, but that's not the end all be all. I've seen some people maybe attach us to DeMarcus Lawrence at 33 years old. Again, so maybe you do a combination of Dayo Adeyingbo as like your younger guy, some guy with some potential. Maybe we could get the best out of him in his future years on the next contract. Then DeMarcus Lawrence is your veteran free agent, like your safety net, you're just in case we have to throw him out there and he has to play. And then you still target edge rusher in the first round. I think we need edge rusher that bad. Then you also have Chauncey Golston, you have Matthew Judon, Dennis Gardick, Joshua Uche, just some other names to throw out there. Don't be surprised if you hear one of those names being signed by the Commanders. And then lastly, before we get up out of here, I want to update y'all on the fact that Cooper Kupp Just as of a couple of days ago, it was reported that the Rams have lowered their offer price for Cooper Kupp. Apparently what teams are talking to him about as far as trading for him, it's not sounding good to the Rams, and right now it's looking like they're more than likely gonna have to cut him. So they're like, oh please, well, if it was a 5th round pick for 6th round pick, how about a 7th? Anything, we just don't want to cut him. That's where the Rams are right now. And then Dove Kleiman just reported a few days ago that the Rams already have acknowledged the fact that they are more than likely going to have to release Cooper Kupp than they are going to be able to trade him right now. And so, hey, I'm still, even after trading for Deebo Samuel, I'm not trading for Cooper Kupp, but if he gets cut by the Rams, I would sign him to a very cheap deal. Me personally, he could be a starting slot receiver. For what I wanted Christian Kirk to be in this offense, I think Cooper Kupp could be that. Your starting slot receiver. Deebo Samuel's going to move all around. He could technically be your outside receiver opposite of Terry, but again, he's going to be everywhere. Terry McLaurin is, of course, your X, and I think Cooper Kupp will always be open as a slot receiver. The defense is always having to focus on Terry, Deebo Samuel, Zach Ertz. Cooper Kupp will literally always be open. He gets open versus one-on-one coverage. Even go look at his 2024 highlights. I know a lot of people are downplaying him, and I feel like it's gone a little too far. I mean, I don't think Cooper Kupp is a wide receiver 2 at this point, but he can still get open one-on-one, zone coverage, man coverage, whatever you need. He's going to basically be the Zach Ertz of the wide receiver group, where he's always open no matter what. Go look at his 2024 highlights and tell me that that guy can't still get open this upcoming season. So I would be down to sign him for very cheap. I'm not talking about big money like a wide receiver 2. I'm talking about way less money than what Deebo Samuel's even getting right now. I'm talking about get me Terry McLaurin at the X, Deebo Samuel moving everywhere, gadget Y, and then Cooper Kupp as a slot, the Z. I'm down for that, man. I would, and it would be crazy too, because there were reports, a few weeks ago that we're potentially targeting Deebo Samuel or Cooper Kupp. We ended up trading for Deebo Samuel. What if we end up with both of them and end up signing Cooper Kupp either way? That would be crazy, man. I mean, that would be the greatest receiving core of all time from 2021. You know what I'm saying? We could go back in time to 2021. That would be the most ridiculous receiving core ever, man. 2021 Terry, 2021 Deebo, and 2021 Cooper Kupp would be insane, man. But this is 2025, so it's completely different. But I still feel like that's quality, and at the very least, that's way better than what we had to work with last year. Jaden Daniels made miracles with the receiving core he had last year. Imagine what he could do with even Deebo Samuel at, you could argue, maybe 85-90%. Cooper Kupp maybe at 70%. Still better than Jamison Crowder, Olamide Zaccheaus, and De'Ami Brown from last year. Still better, I would easily say. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in the video. Please still farm that like button, still farm the subscription button, still farm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. Right now, I'm literally talking to y'all while I'm reading my phone, because who knows what updates may have happened while I was just recording this and talking to y'all. So I'm gonna try to hurry up and get this video out to y'all as soon as possible before I look stupid by saying anything else that's already been null and voided within the few minutes that it takes me to edit this and get it out to y'all. So I really appreciate y'all. Of course, just to let y'all know, y'all stay tuned for everything. Also, I want to make sure I thank my boy. I can't believe I almost forgot this. Shouts out to my boy for the big time donation to the Cash App, man. I'm on the way right now. First of all, make sure y'all definitely do not leave this video without leaving a like. Of course, let me know in the comment section how y'all feel about everything we discussed in this video. Trey Hendrickson, the heavy pursuit for another tackle and edge rusher in free agency. How do you feel about Josh Sweat and Milton Williams? How do you feel about Jeremy Chinn and then the safety market that's going on right now? But again, of course, let me know that in the comment section. And also shouts out to my boy John Cregan for the big time donation to the Cash App, man. Really appreciate that. And I don't know if it's Cregan or Cregan. Hopefully either one of those are correct. You know what I'm saying? So just hear the one that's the right one. I really appreciate you, man. Shouts out to my boy John for the donation last night, man. Big love to that, man. I'm gonna catch y'all later. Catch y'all. Make sure you leave a like on the way out. I'm gonna catch y'all with more updates all throughout the day, all throughout the week. Anything burgundy or gold, I got you. I'm out.